Mr. Speaker, I first acknowledge and pay homage to the efforts and sacrifices put forward by staff of the Ministry of Finance, who, with the external support given by other ministries and stakeholders, worked tirelessly to prepare Budget 2019. To my colleague, Minister Jordan and team, kudos to you all. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2019 is another budget from my government, which is tailored to ensure the ordinary man benefits in numerous ways. During his presentation on Monday, 26th of November 2018, the Honorable Minister of Finance stated that our government thought it best not to introduce any new taxes. This means that in excess of 30 billion will now remain in the hands of the ordinary man. This is but one way in which the ordinary people of this beloved land of ours will benefit. Sir, I applaud the Private Sector Commission, the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce, members of the Disability Commission, and citizens at large who boldly expressed appreciation to government for the many measures contained in Budget 2019. Mr. Speaker, I am cognizant that you and others in this House, more particular to my fellow parliamentarians, will agree with me that Budget 2019 is the budget that will prepare us for what is and will to come in 2020. Sir, those who have eyes to see, let them see, and ears to hear, let them hear. Over the last 48 hours, as I listened to the arguments posited by my colleagues across the aisle, I recognize that a similar attitude and rhetoric which manifested itself in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019, and 2018 budgets are receiving in Budget 2019. There are no new ideas from the opposition to advance the cause of the Guyanese people, except for those suggestions shared by honorable members Ms. Yvonne Pearson and Dr. Frank Anthony. Mr. Speaker, everyone knows that with the opposition, talk is cheap and comes with a dangling promise that they are better. It is easier to stand all day and criticize the biggest budget for their lifetime. But it takes real courage to support such a budget. But Mr. Speaker, we stand by Budget 2019 and we will deliver on everything inked in Budget 2019. Throughout the debate, we heard from the opposition that Budget 2019 is bluff and fluff. But when you analyze their message in the debate, it is empty. Empty with no shadow of hope for the future. So, Mr. Speaker, the real bluff and fluff is the opposition, because we, as the APNU-AFC government, have offered substance to the Guyanese people by giving them 300.7 billion reasons on how we will deliver the good life in 2019. What did the opposition deliver to the people? As I said before, empty promises. Sir, our people are listening, looking, and learning, and they all have a sense of appreciation of what this government is doing. Permit me, sir, to share an article carried on social media via Demerara Waves, November 3rd, 2018, quoting Honorable Member Irfan Ali. Description of Budget 2019. Poor economic performances, increases for food, clothing, and medicine, quote and unquote. Mr. Speaker, if the Honorable Ali continues to read the wrong literature and continues to feed himself false news, he will one day self-destruct as a victim of intellectual dishonesty. The honorable member members on the opposite side of the House are familiar with the number of investors that has approached the government. They don't know how busy the public servants are in every ministry, working hard and beyond the call of duty, whether it is in the Ministry of the Presidency, infrastructure, business, security, telecommunications, health, housing, or any other agency, but rather than understanding the time and working with the government to deliver a better, stronger, transformed Guyana to our people, the opposition is strumming up false facts and information, stirring up dissension, and, as usual, have employed their usual choir to sing their chorus. But I say to the opposite side today, Guyana shall rise. Our country will be transformed. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, and we will overcome all your divisive acts, baseless criticisms, and false accusation with the evidence of our hard work. Just remember, there is a time and season for everything, and your time has expired. Mr. Speaker, the presentation by honorable members to Budget 2019 is lukewarm and lacks substance, since they are of themselves are aware that Budget 2019 is the real deal. Our performance over the last 3 years is exceptional and exemplary, which can test the time of scrutiny. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the theme for Budget 2019 is apt, and the government must be given its space to ensure the pathway to the good life is sustained through community development and empowering of our people. Mr. Speaker, for the purpose of my contribution to Budget 2019, I will examine a few agencies under my remit within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure by sharing their performances in 2018 and what will be achieved or accomplished for 2019. My colleague Minister, the Honorable David Patterson, will address the other areas within the ministry. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure is critical for the development of a nation. Over the past 3 years, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure managed to effectively transform the outlook in communities and, by extension, the nation. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority. Guyana must be proud that 2 weeks ago, Guyana was able to host the first International Civil Aviation Conference, Air Transport Meeting, where in excess of 40 countries visited Guyana from different parts of the world. The president of ICAO praised Guyana for the progress made in the aviation sector. He said, and I quote, "Within the context of our No Country Left Behind initiative, and in order for us in Montreal to reach all our member states, and there are 192 member states, we need regional leaders, and Guyana has proven to be a regional leader. And that is one of the reasons why we believe that Guyana was able to host such an important meeting," unquote. Mr. Speaker, under this APNU-AFC government, Guyana's image on the regional and international planes were significantly capitulated, from one as beggars on golden stools to emerging leader. This is evidence of the APNU-AFC government's work to brand Guyana in the region and the world over as an aggressive nation state. Permit me, Mr. Speaker, to highlight some of the key accomplishments within the aviation sector for 2018. 10 acres of land acquired for a new permanent GCAA headquarters at Providence for its operation at a cost of $25 million Guyana dollars. Development of a modern civil aviation bill, which was read in this very honorable house for a third time. This passing of the bill will lead to the strength of GCAA's oversight and enforcement capability, and to establish independent provisions for accident investigation. Aeronautical Surveillance Service, Phase 2. The provision of Aeronautical Surveillance Service continued with the establishment of infrastructure for 4 ADS-B VHF stations at Port Kaituma, Camarang, Kaichur, and Anai during 2018 at a cost of 380 million Guyana dollars. Once finally operated, Mr. Speaker, the stations will significantly improve the management of the lower airspace within those regions, as well as improve the safe operations of aircraft flying to those areas. Air navigation personnel. ANS trained 21 recruits as aeronautical information management officers, whilst 4 were trained as procedural air controllers and 6 as procedural airdrome controllers and flight information service officers using the newly installed stimulator. This will indeed, Mr. Speaker, improve the human resources capacity to manage the provision of air traffic services units at the 2 international airports and the Air Control Center. Aviation security, annual oversight. GCAA conducted security oversight of domestic and hinterland operators during 2018. Specifically, GCAA collaborated with US TSA to conduct security assessments of all operators flying to US. ICAO Guyana safety compliance. A significant amount of work has been done to achieve safety compliance with ICAO safety standards. A target of 85% level of compliance is the objective set for 2019. Green State Development Strategy. Consistent with the Green State Development Strategy, Guyana has submitted CO2 emissions action plan to ICAO, which is aimed at the reduction in CO2 emission from aviation-related activities. 2 new routes were established in the Georgetown Flight Information Region, linking Panama and Demerara, as well as Montevideo and North America. Letters of agreements were amended and signed with adjacent states to facilitate these new routes. This will increase airspace capacity, improve efficiency, and allow for significant cost benefits for airlines and environmental benefits throughout significant reductions in carbon emissions. Guyana will participate in the pilot phase of carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation. Commencing in 2021, in 2019 and 2020, Mr. Speaker, Guyana will implement a monitoring, reporting, and verification system to monitor the level of CO2 emissions and provide reports to ICAO. Mechanisms for MRV processes are currently being established. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, with allocations from budget 2019, the GCAA will implement the following: Digital Automatic Terminal Information Service. This will indeed provide air traffic controllers and aircraft with up-to-date weather conditions to make flight decisions, and this will cost us 60 million Guyana dollars. Aeronautical Information Exchange and Management Software. This, Mr. Speaker, will enable the transition of aeronautical information by the AIS from manual to digital data. A cost of 5 million Guyana dollars has been allocated. Mr. Speaker, I would now like to turn my attention to the Transport and Harbours Department. The Transport and Harbours Department remains critical to Guyana's development through agriculture, tourism, and social activities. With the current fleet of ferry vessels being operated by Transport and Harbours Department, central government continues to render the necessary financial support to ensure that these vessels remain seaworthy and are fully operational. In 2018, Mr. Speaker, $700 million was appropriated for the rehabilitation of ferry vessels, and $262 million was appropriated for stellings. Mr. Speaker, stellings are important assets to the Transport and Harbours Department, since it allows for the berthing and mooring of vessels plying different routes in the Essequibo River. In addition to vessels maintenance, the sum of $100 million was appropriated for the rehabilitation of Leg 1 stelling. This project entails driving of piles and other works, all of which strengthened the integrity of the stelling and saw the northern section of the structure being extended by 19,000 square feet. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to note that on the completion of this particular project, it would cost us in excess of 400 million Guyana dollars. Notably, Mr. Speaker, the vision of this administration is to ensure that construction of stellings are done in a modernized way. The modernized approach was taken on the ongoing rehabilitation of the Baltica stelling, region number 7, as phase 1. A total sum of 150 million Guyana dollars was allocated in the 2018 budget for phase 2, which the northern section of the stelling will be extended by 26,000 square feet to accommodate floating link span, bridge, steel frame shed, light tower, and a heavy-duty vehicle scale. Mr. Speaker, with the support of budgetary allocations for financial year 2019, the sum of $190 million has been provided for the rehabilitation of the MV Sabanta and Canoan in the Essequibo River. On the other hand, for stellings, the sum of 687 million Guyana dollars has been appropriated, Mr. Speaker, to effect works on the following stellings. Leg 1, 285 million Guyana dollars. Baltica, 350 million Guyana dollars, and Perica, 50 million Guyana dollars. Administratively, Mr. Speaker, the department continues to provide the relevant services under its remit. Despite current financial challenges, nevertheless, the Advisory Council is working towards addressing this problem to ascertain ways of its financial sustainability. Mr. Speaker, as I continue to focus on the maritime sector, I now place my attention to the regulatory arm. The Maritime Administration Department continues to ensure that our country's main ports and rivers are monitored and that regulations are enforced when necessary. Despite this entity being a semi-autonomous body, central government continues towards the capital expenditure. With the eminent oil and gas sector, the department accomplished the following in 2018. Administratively, the International Maritime Organization audit and International Organization of Standardization Stage 1 audit were completed. Management staff were trained in ISO 2015. Review of ISPS code by the U.S. Coast Unmarad in June 2018. The department, as alluded to earlier, Mr. Speaker, the monitoring of our main waterways, the MV Setter was recommissioned. On the other hand, the acquisition of a new pilot launch was done at a cost of 200 million Guyana dollars. Mr. Speaker, the Demerara Harbour Bridge is an important structure bridging many regions. 4, 3, 2, 1, and 7. This crucial link has serviced commuters over the last 4 decades. Despite not receiving maximum subvention from central government in 2018, the management and staff continue to ensure efficient and effective maintenance of this structure. In 2018, central government appropriated $5 million to this entity, which was utilized on the fabrication of connecting posts. Apart from this expenditure, the corporation utilized its generated revenue to execute a number of capital works, specifically $354 million to procure items such as fabricate buoys, maintenance to equipment, machinery, rehabilitation of main offices, and the rehabilitation of pontoons costing in excess of $284 million Guyana dollars. Mr. Speaker, it cannot be understated. While this structure has been in operation for more than 40 years, its main revenue is driven from toll. As at 31st of October 2018, revenue collected stood at $703 million Guyana dollars, while its current expenditure was $454 million. For the corresponding period, October 2017, revenue generated $389 million, current expenditure $444 million. Mr. Speaker, the asphalt plant operation is effectively managed by the management of the Demerara Harbour Bridge. Sir, production of asphalt as at 31st of December 2018 stood at 23,067 metric tons, as against 23,735 metric tons for a corresponding period in 2017, a decrease of 2.8% in reduction. Further, sir, revenue generation for same periods under review were as follows. For 2018, $748 million, while expending $672 million as against $891 million and expending $778 million. Mr. Speaker, central government continues to give the support to the Hinterland Electrification, Inc., whose mandate is to ensure that electricity systems are established across the hinterland regions so as to improve systems operations. To ensure continuity, the support for socio-economic development plan 2018, the government allocated the sum of $233 million for the implementation of the following projects: installation of a 400 kilowatt solar PV farm at Mabaruma, that's in region number 1. Installation of a metal lattice tower to support electricity distribution lines across the Port Kaituma River, $20 million Guyana dollars. Extension of the distribution network at Mokamoka and residents within the proximity of Rodo Ground in region number 9. And upgrade distribution for the two will cost $20 million Guyana dollars. Mr. Speaker, in keeping with the Green State Initiative, under the Sustainable Energy Program, the government of Guyana received budgetary from the IDB GF grant funded, which realized the implementation of the following projects: installation of microgrid PV systems in the following 10 hinterland communities. Region 1, Yarakita, Hotawai. Region 2, Akawini, Bethany, Kabakuburi. Region 7, Chinopong, Chinowing, and Philippi. Region 8, Monkey Mountain, Kurupagabari, and Region 9, Achiwe. Conducting a geotechnical studies at the Mokamoka Hydro Power Site. Public awareness campaign to promote the benefits of renewable energy and energy efficiency. Mr. Speaker, the sum of $159 million has been provided for in Budget 2019, and the following projects are likely to be effected. Network expansion to residents within commercial zones in Letem. This will cost us 20 million Guyana dollars. Relocation of network in Letem to facilitate road expansion. This will cost us another 25 million Guyana dollars.
I'll remember you have 5 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, maintenance and rehabilitation of hinterland airstrips remains a high priority on government's agenda. Our government understands the importance of having access to ensuring the provision of goods and services to the hinterland communities, and the fact that our indigenous brothers and sisters, along with members of the business community, depend on air travel into their respective communities. To this end, Mr. Speaker, government has provided in Budget 2018 the total sum of 250 million Guyana dollars, and the following airstrips were done: Bimichi and Kamawan. And for 2019, Mr. Speaker, a total sum of 2 billion Guyana dollars has been allocated for works to be done on the following hinterland airstrips: Port Kaituma 50 million, Philippi 50 million. To allow for night flights, the sum of 17 million Guyana dollars has been allocated for the procurement of LED lights and charging ports for the following airstrips: Mabaruma, Port Kaituma, Bimichi, and Madia. Also, Mr. Speaker, $184 million has been provided in Budget 2018 for the rehabilitation of the Letem airdromes. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, while the opposite side, with every word spoken, may try to discredit this APNU AFC government, let it be known that Budget 2019, crafted under the theme transforming the economy, empowering people, building sustainable communities for the good life, is a people's budget and caters for all Guyanese. While many states in the world and right here in the Caribbean region are trying to grapple with the uncertainty of their future, our path here in Guyana remains one on the increasing growth trajectory. And this budget, like all others presented by our government, is preparing Guyana for the endless opportunities and possibilities that will come with the expansion in the oil and gas sector. For all the doubters and naysayers, false witnesses, empty words people, Mr. Speaker, I will close with the words of the outgoing U.S. Ambassador, Mr. Perry Holloway. The resources of Guyana that Guyana will accrue from oil and gas, estimated to be about 300 times its current gross domestic product. This is gigantic. You will be the richest country in the hemisphere and could be the richest in the world on a per capita basis. With this being said, Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend Budget 2019 to this House for its passage. May God richly bless us all. Thank you.